Hello and welcome to On the Air. My name is Ian. Unfortunately, Mike is not with us this week. You have just got me recapping the weekend's football. If you haven't already, please go over to our YouTube channel. Look for the Big Yellow Cup. It is there. We are aiming to get to 100 subscribers before the January transfer window. We'd most appreciate your help. But say for this weekend, the opening weekend of the Premier League season, we saw the second highest scoring opening weekend ever with 34 goals, which is only beaten by the 03-04 season, which had 36. And if that's anything to go by, it's fantastic. And we can't really wait for next weekend to already kick off with the football. So we're going to go sort of in order of the weekend. Sorry, pardon me. And first of all, Brentford. Brentford. I said last week they were going to be hungry for it, and they certainly were, because Arsenal took on Brentford in the grand curtain opener of the Premier League in the season, and Brentford went on to win. They made Arsenal look second best in every department, in my opinion. Sergi Canos with the opener, beating Leno with a low driven shot, was a fantastic little bit of play. And the passion is the one thing that I would sort of hone in on from Arsenal. Just seem to be lacking, which I think will concern fans a lot, because say if you are passionate about it and you're playing really poorly, but you are trying and leaving it all on the pitch, most fans will go with that being second best on the day, but they didn't seem to have any passion, which will hurt them in the long run. I do think that Arteta may be troubled coming with the next few fixtures. I think they've got Chelsea and then Manchester City coming up, which no one would have them favourites to win. And especially with Lukaku coming back in. I mean, we'll get onto that a little bit later, but Arsenal fans should really be concerned. Norgard scored the second when Leno was made to look silly by not being strong and pushing off a player off him from a long throw-in. Goalkeeping 101, you've got to command your area. And if you have to give someone a shove, give someone a shove. We've said that all along. Some people will say it was a foul, but if he should be stronger than that. He didn't look like he tried. I do feel sorry for Emile Smith-Rowe and Kieran Tierney, though. They're the only two Arsenal players who had any positives in this game, really. So, I mean, a long way back for Arsenal. I do think mid-table mediocrity for them again this season, especially on that performance, unless it improves wholeheartedly. I know they were missing a few players, but most teams were as well. And Arteta, I mean, does he get 10 games this season? On performances like that, I don't think he'll make it to 10 games. One thing I would say is David Raya from Brentford, the goalkeeper, made a few good saves. He was a target for Arsenal at one point, but instead they decided to buy Runarsson. So I bet they're regretting that, because actually out of the two goalkeepers, he looked the better. So yeah, 2-0 that one finished. Next up we had Paul Pogba from Manchester United. They gave Leeds a bit of a drumming, didn't they? Went on a bit of a rampage. And you could argue that they weren't at full strength. I mean, they had the likes of Daniel James starting, and Fred, which people are still not sold on. Varane, he got unveiled before kickoff. Sancho didn't start. So, I mean, they've got some big players to come back yet. Rashford out with his injuries and his shoulder surgery coming up. But the game kicked off. Pogba missed an early chance, but he did go on to get 4 assists and really showed his quality. Now it looks like a deal or a move to PSG is out of the way and not going to happen, because they've got in a fair few players. One, Lionel Messi, taking up some of the money on their books. It looks like he could be staying at Manchester United for the long term, or at least the rest of his contract. If he plays like that all season, it will be phenomenal and be able to demand a high wage for his next contract, or even higher wage, because he was quality. Putting the balls in the right spaces, right weights on them, absolutely phenomenal. Fernandes, shortly after the Pogba miss, did open the scoring, which was followed by a screamer from Luke Ayling. Greenwood scored, and then Fernandes went on to complete his hat-trick with a little bit of help of goal line technology, which was good. And Fred finished off the scoring for that one to finish 5-1. Leeds, they're expansive. They try and have a go. And every now and again, playing like that, you are going to get a drumming. Manchester United could be one to watch this weekend, or this season. A lot of positives there, and arguably not, as I said, not at full strength, and they could be. They very well could be title contenders. Is it too early to say that? If they play in the manner that they played at the weekend, then they'll be all right. Next up, we had Chelsea. Everyone was a little bit apprehensive. I mean, Lukaku's been announced, but wasn't able to play. They took on Patrick Vieira's new-looking Crystal Palace, who have had a hard season. I have said all pre-season, Vieira's got the hardest job. He's got an aging squad, a lot of them out of contract. He's got to really do something special there to keep them up. But Chelsea, they looked sharp, didn't they? They did look sharp. Alonso with the wand of a left foot free kick was brilliant. Looked back at his best. And actually, I think if he carries on playing like that, he is going to keep Ben Chilwell out of the team, which is a good thing for Chelsea, but not necessarily for Ben Chilwell. Werner still not found his shooting boots. That's what I would say. Luckily, Pusic was not far behind him. Followed that in for the second. Werner then missed another sitter. He couldn't even direct it on target, let alone in the goal. And with Lukaku coming in, he's either going to be shipped out or definitely playing second fiddle. I do think maybe once Lukaku's in, he's going to take the brunt of that pressure to score goals. And Werner coming in off the bench after, say, 60, 70 minutes, he's blistering pace. He gets in the right positions. I think he may get a few more goals this season if he does stay. And finally, new boy, Trevor Chalobah. Believe he's brothers with the other Chalobah, who now plays for Watford. Listen to the crowd, 30 yards out, and he puts one in the bottom left. Absolutely sublime. The Chelsea faithful will be happy. One that's come through the academy. He is Chelsea through and through, and he will be brilliant. As I said earlier on, if I was an Arsenal fan, I would be very, very concerned. They've got Lukaku available next week. He likes a goal against Arsenal. And the fact that Chelsea looked so strong and so sharp this early, and they've still got a humongous player to come. By the looks of it, Tammy Abraham's passed his medical at Roma, so he will no longer be gracing the Premier League, which I think is a little bit of a shame, considering that first season Frank Lampard come in, he was brilliant, and he was actually all right last season. Just fell down the pecking order when Thomas Tuchel come in. On the other hand, in my opinion, Palace are still favourites for relegation. They made one sort of half attempt in this game that was decent, and that didn't come from their own ability to create that chance. It came from a Chelsea mistake. So if Wilfred Zaha doesn't single-handedly keep them up this season, which I think would be a big ask, big ask, then they are definitely going down. Not much else to say about that one, really. It was a good watch, a solid start, and didn't really expect much else from that game other than a Chelsea win. Some Palace fans might have looked at it and gone, if we can scarper a point in our first game of the season, we'll be all right. But Palace look a long way off the pace. Next up, the old West Ham. We did come out on top eventually against a Newcastle team who last year beat us twice. But we did win 4-2. The first half was pretty much all Newcastle. I think West Ham had more possession, but we didn't really do anything with it. Newcastle went in 2-1 up. West Ham, they didn't seem to be sharp as Chelsea were, even as Newcastle were. And with some poor defending, some poor goalkeeping, Newcastle capitalised when they could. Fabianski didn't look like he had the same cutting edge as he did last season. And I do think this is going to be his last year as number one. He might carry on as maybe a backup, maybe not. We'll wait and see. But I think some point in the next couple of games, if he continues to play in the manner that he did, Areola will be taking over that number one spot for West Ham. he just didn't look sharp. He wasn't catchy. He wasn't diving into things. I think Newcastle, they'd moved the goalposts 2 yards to the right. They would have scored 6 or 7 that Fabianski had no idea about. But however, West Ham come out fighting in the second half. Saved Ben Rama with a goal and assist in this game. He was my man of the match. And the second half was reminiscent of the Hammers last year. That never say die attitude. And say we had that very quick counter attack which helped. We did control the second half and opened up a lot more spaces. Used some of the skill which we have had. I mean, it could have quite easily been 5. Jared Bowen dribbled through what seemed to be the whole Newcastle team. When it comes to the shot, hit it straight at the keeper, which wasn't brilliant, but it is what it is. But West Ham do shoot up to 4th in the table after that result. If they can go out and get an out-and-out striker, which is what they seem to be lacking. Antonio, I like him. I think he's a brilliant player. But he drifts too far out wide. So when you put balls in the box, there's just no one there. But I think if we can get an out-and-out striker, and we've been linked with Lingard and Zuma again, with potential deals being revived, then I think we could be dangerous this year with that right attitude. Moyes has come out and said a number of times, there's no point just buying a player. If they're better than what you've got, then that's fantastic. If not, there's no point just buying a player for the sake of it. So I'm not sure whether that's because he has no transfer budget, or whether the case is they can't attract players that they think will fit that work hard, play hard attitude. But overall, West Ham players will be happy, but West Ham fans will be happy and are happy with that result. And I think we're pretty confident going into the next game against Leicester. I think we could give them a few challenges here, which will be good for us. And if we can give them a game, gets a point, if not 3 out of it, then we're looking positive for the season, most certainly. And last but certainly not least, our Spurs getting ready for life without Harry Kane. They played well against a City side that started without a striker, but they did have £100 million man Jack Grealish in the starting lineup. Out of the 2, grit and determination, we saw out of Spurs overcome the just sheer wish list, I suppose, of players of Manchester City. We didn't see that sort of determination last year in Spurs, but they have seen it this year. Academy graduate Oliver Skipp had a very good game in the midfield. I don't think many people expected much of him. He was on loan at Newcastle, at Norwich last year, and played very well, and actually played perfectly for Spurs. Obviously, Nuno's first competitive game in charge, and they did very, very well. They have got a very fast leading line without Harry Kane there. Son, Bergwijn, Lucas Moura. If that's a front 3, they will cause problems, because as Nuno, as we know, he likes to play direct and he likes to play fast. And we saw that to some effect against Manchester City. Spurs did drop deep and they played very well, defended well, and then got the ball out quickly, recycled it. Son, he was the only scorer in the game with a wonderful effort that personally I think Edison should have got. But he just sort of stared at it, didn't he? So Spurs fans will be very happy with that result. They weren't very happy with Harry Kane, and they voiced that in some regard. Chanting throughout the game, "Are you watching Harry Kane?" And I think that was that sort of 2-finger salute to him, knowing the fact that he may be leaving. I think he's gone about it in the wrong way. Manchester City look like the likely destination, and they are crying out for a striker. Without Aguero there, they are crying out for a striker. But say he has done a number of interviews and things like that where he's alluded to the fact that he wants to win trophies and play with people such as Kevin De Bruyne. And he missed training, didn't he? He missed training. 5 days later, he came out and said, "No, I'm on a holiday. I'm allowed to be." Why not get someone in your team to sort that out to start off with? I think if he'd come out with a bit of decorum to the Spurs fans and said, "Thank you, but I've given you everything, and I need to do something now for me," I think a lot of them would be upset that he would be wanting to leave, but wouldn't begrudge him because they know they're not going to win anything or struggle to, which they come close to last season. But hey ho, if they hadn't got rid of Jose, who knows what would be happening. Two things that I did notice about Spurs though is they could be getting back to their best, um, and possibly even better without Harry Kane. Uh, but let's see what happens in the coming weeks with him staying or him going. And the other thing is City need to find some form, and soon. They've already got two competitive losses, one to Leicester in the Community Shield, the other away to Spurs. As I said, they're missing Aguero. First time they've started a Premier League season without him for 10 years. And it could be a really, really long season for them if they don't get a striker. They've got Jesus. Is he up to the task? Well, he didn't start, so Pep obviously thinks not. I think for this season, this could be. I mean, I haven't mentioned Liverpool, but they played Norwich and showed that they can be dominant. You would expect them to have won by a bit more, but Van Dijk was back. Will he be the same player? That's the question mark over Liverpool this year. If he comes back the same player as he was, then fantastic. But he's had a very, very hard, long, lonely injury to come back from, and that I'm sure that will sit in the back of his mind for a while. But say they won 3-0. So the top four, it's got to be, for me, Chelsea, United, Liverpool, and possibly City if they can get it right. We know they're dangerous. We've seen that over the years. Pep is sort of a tactical genius. But say Leicester come away with a win as well. Spurs could be back at their best. Everton won under Benitez, which I'm sure a lot of Everton fans will sort of be bittersweet about. And West Ham, if we can have a decent run and not get loads of injuries, we should be up there with a shout. I know we've got a few more games with the Europa League this season, but hey ho, let's see how we go. Definitely top six for me. But as I said at the beginning, if you could go over to our YouTube channel, FDT-TV, look for the big gold cup, press that subscribe button, get us to 100 subscribers before the end of the January transfer window. That'd be brilliant. Until next week, I've been Ian. We will see you very